what happens with classes is they think they know how to do this. Let's see. Oh. Oh no, I threw it away. Maybe I did. Yeah. No, I didn't. It was saving the whole time, wasn't it? Yeah, oh well. Oh, did I want to save this? No. I should have. Anyway, what students think is that they know how to do this stuff, and then they can't do it on a quiz. Is that true, Shani? It looks simple, doesn't it? And then you have these problems sitting in front of you, and your brain just fries, guys. So, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to receive $100,000. You can use your present value tables or your calculator for this. I don't care. Present value tables are in the book. What page are those on?
333 to 334.
333, 34. Okay. 100,000 in 10 years. And I think I'm going to have the cost of capital is 8% interest rate, discount rate. Okay, I want to earn 8%. I'm going to receive the 100,000 in 10 years. So this is one. How much is this worth now? What would I pay for it? How much would I be willing to invest, right? Here's your first. 2. I'm going to invest $90,000 now. I'm going to leave it for 8 years at 10% interest. How much will I have then? At the end of the 8 years, right? 3. I'm going to invest $200,000 now. I'm going to receive 8 semi-annual payments. At the end of each year, or at the end of each 6 months, at end of period. Interest rate 6%. I think our table will do that. I'll change them if not. How much is each payment? Okay. I'm going to receive $10,000 each quarter for 3 years. Interest worth now? In other words, how much would I invest to get this? How much would I be willing to invest? And I'm going to invest $15,000 at the end of each year. 4 years, 12% interest. How much will I have at the end of 4 years? Okay, 5 little questions. Can you do these? Yes, ma'am.
Well, actually,
Want me to read them to you?
yes.
Okay, the first one, number 1, I'm going to receive $100,000 10 years from now. 8% interest rate I want to earn. What is it worth now? What am I calculating? A present value at time 0, which is now. Absolutely. I'm going to invest $90,000 now. I'm going to leave it for 8 years, 10% interest rate. What will I have in 8 years? What am I calculating? Future value. You bet. 8 years from now. I'm going to invest $200,000 now. I'm going to receive 8 semi-annual payments at the end of each period. Interest rate 6%. How much is each payment? Okay. What am I valuing here? The payment. What kind of a payment? Annuity payment. What kind of an annuity?
Ordinary.
End of each period is ordinary, right? What's the interest rate I'm going to use, seeing as it's semi-annual and the interest rate's 6%, always stated per year? What are we going to use? 3%. Does the table have 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, okay. Receive $10,000 each quarter for 3 years. Okay, interest rate 12%. Oh, by the way, it's 8 semi-annual periods. That would have been 4 years. If I said 4 years, you could figure out it was 8, right? Okay. Yeah, so it can be stated all kinds of ways. Receive $10,000 each quarter for 3 years. How many quarters is that? Number 4. $10,000 each quarter for 3 years. How many quarters is that? 12. Yeah, 4 times 3. Is that email? I got mail. Okay.
Warning.
A warning your battery's gone? Okay, anyway. So, by the way, I'm supposed to be really offended by that. What's wrong with college professors? Somebody could be offended by that. I was kind of nice, break things up a little, wake everybody up. My phone went off during my first class today. Oregon's lights on. I got to beat basketball. They're not really very good, but they're the third best team in the Pac-12 so far. Hope they can hang on. They still have Utah left. They're in trouble. They might actually make the tournament and then lose in the first round. But anyway, so what do we got? Quarterly for 3 years is 12, right? So it's 10,000 12 times, isn't it? Interest rate 12%. What do you want to do with that interest rate? That's a year. So it's 3, divide by 4, right? This is common sense, isn't it? When problems get complex, relax and do that, okay? That's all you have to do here. You figure out when the cash changes hands. You figure out what the interest rate is. Figure out how many times. I'll go into a future value, present value. By the way, I want to know what it's worth right now. Guess what that is? Now? Present value. Students always ask me, well, what are they asking? What do you mean? They want to know what it's worth now. Or they want to know what it's worth later. Or they want to know how much the payment is. Or they want to know what the interest rate is. Come on. It's obvious what they're asking for. The piece of information they didn't give you is what they're asking for. Even if they don't say the question, you know what the question is, usually. Okay, good. And then invest $15,000. You got all these written down? I'll give you like 3 minutes to do these each. That's plenty. Invest $15,000 each at the end of each year. By the way, am I kidding? Maybe not 3 minutes, maybe 5, maybe for something like this. Why am I not kidding? How valuable do you want to be, you guys? It doesn't take anybody any time to do it. Future value or present value, big deal. One multiplication, come on, right? You gotta know what you're doing, don't you? You have to look at it, figure it out, and make a simple computation, okay? That's it. How many are gonna be doing finance and accounting or finance by itself? Yeah, this is your world. This is your world. Guys, are you taking a finance class yet? 315? Are you doing this stuff? Yep. Oh yeah, inside and out. Inside and out. Everybody does this. And all of you people, even if you're crazy enough not to double major finance and accounting, right? It's a nice double major. It's really hard. If you're going to do something else, you're still going to do BA 315 or finance 315, which is an easy class. After this one, it's a joke. Would you guys agree with that? It's not a joke yet because you're doing this one and that one at the same time. That helps with this class though, and helps with that one at the same time. For accounting majors, they just nail finance 315. Just walk right through it because you already know how to do it. Have you guys started doing whack cap M yet? No, you will about the time that we do it, and we do it totally different than you do in there. It's really cool. It works great because it's the same stuff. It's got different terminology a little bit. It works out really good. You really get it solid. Okay, anyway, invest $15,000 end of each year for 4 years. Okay, yeah, so it's just 4 years to once a year, 12% interest. How much will I have at the end of 4 years? What am I calculating? A future value. What do you call this when it's exactly the same payment? Each of these, exactly the same payment each period, makes it a annuity. Same interest rate, got to have the interest rate stay constant. You got to have exactly the same cash flow every period, right? And no period skip. We say, oh, there's not no way to say that because if you skip the period, it's not the same payment, right? It's a zero payment. But anyway, so exactly the same payment every period, and the interest rate does not change, which is the assumption we make going in. By the way, what's your best estimate of tomorrow's interest rates? What they are today. Are interest rates going up or down? I don't know. It's hard for them to go down, but they could still go a little bit down, right? But really, over your career, you're not going to know whether interest rates are going up or down. If you did, you could capture all the wealth in the world because you can place bets, right? You can bet on whether it's going up or down. I don't mean in Vegas, I mean in the market. You can place bets on whether interest rates are going to change. There are futures and interest rates, forward contracts and interest rates. You can gamble on whether rates are going up or down. So if you know, I get executive MBAs all the time, oh, interest rates are going to go up. And I say, oh, really? Why don't you cash out all your wealth that you've got and buy a futures contract, buy options. Better yet, buy options. You can just gamble it all. And then when rates go up, you'll be rich. Well, yeah, but what happens if rates go down? Oh, you're bankrupt. Well, what the hell, right? You know they're going up. No, you don't. You don't know, right? You can bet if you want. By the way, people make a lot of money doing those kinds of bets. And lose a lot of money. So calculate those. Go for it. Oh, I was going to say, what kind of annuity is this one? End of each year?
Ordinary.
Did I do an annuity due?
No.
Oh, let's make that the beginning of each year. What would that make an annuity do, wouldn't it? Did you already calculate it?
Yeah.
Let's do it 2 ways. 6 is exactly the same thing, beginning of each year. Instead of end, change it to beginning. So do both of them. It's 6 of them. Yeah, that'll be all right. And at the end is going to be a what? Future value, right guys? Those should be pretty quick. Those 6 should really go fast. In the review session today and in class next time, we will do some complex ones, fairly complex ones back as well. And then I'll maybe make up a month. I can't make it to review. And I guess we'll do review for 3 hours or something. Nobody has to say that. use the same stuff. Black cap, it's all good. Better. Funny how different people's brains work both ways. Everybody has slightly different what they already learned, what they didn't learn before. About mostly. Yeah, totally get on that for classes. They're easy. On it. Everybody good? Ready? Yes. Okay, so what do? Let's work through these real quick. How do you set them up? On the first one, I would like to know what? A present value? What do I know?
Future value.
I know the future value. Always with all these, you guys, it's going to be a future value some number of periods from now I'm going to be looking for. Or it's going to be a present value now, right? Or it's going to be an interest rate. Or it's going to be a number of periods, right? Okay? What else might there be? You could have an annuity payment, right? And the annuity payment could be one of two types of annuities. What do we got?
Ordinary due.
Ordinary, if it's at the end of the period, I guess ordinarily payments are at the end. What do you think about that? And then due, it means it's due now. Okay? Payments are at the beginning of the period. That's it. That's the whole world. So if I give you, this one can be handled separately. If I give you any three of these top four, you can solve the other one, right? Or if I could leave out, if I have the annuity payment, I could leave out one of the other ones and still get there. Okay? And that's basically it. That's all we're going to do. Okay, so let's do the first one. I receive 100,000 in 10 years. Well, that 100,000 is a future value. N is the number of periods, right, guys? That 100,000 is a future value. 100,000 is a future value 10 years from now. So the number of periods is what? 10. The interest rate is 8%. So you can plug into your calculator and calculate the present value. Now, if you use your calculator, make sure you know what it's doing. I have lots of students use a calculator and give me an answer that's ridiculous. They will give me a present value that's more than the future value. I really want to do business with you, right? Because you're a crazy person. Okay, so when you get your answer out of the calculator, ask yourself, does it make sense? Does it work? And it's kind of hard to do. It's a lot of periods and a high interest rate. Because, boy, the present value is nothing compared to the future value, huh? It's a high interest rate and a lot of periods. If it's a low interest rate and not very many periods, it'll be fairly close. So you think about this. Anyway, how would you calculate it? Set yourself up with, there's a variety of ways, of course. Future value 10 periods from now is $100,000. Sound good? And what at times what? 1 plus the interest rate raised to the number of periods, right? Whoops, 1 over, I'm doing it present value. 1 over 1 plus the interest rate raised to the number of periods. What is this thing? That's a present value factor, isn't it? And what we've got is 1 over 1.08, because they're annual, raised to 10 periods. All this stuff coming back, it's fuzzy at all, okay? It just makes sense, doesn't it? So you can look up a present value factor. What is $1 received 10 periods from now, discounted 8% worth? And what they did to get those tables is take 1 over 1.08 and raise it to the 10th, right? Everybody knows this. You know where those tables came from. The reason the tables exist is because we didn't used to have calculators and computers. They used to be big books with, I've seen them, I never used them, but there used to be big books that had tissue paper in them, like tax research stuff, right? And they'd have page after page after page, every interest rate and every number of periods you could imagine. Why did they do that? Because calculating was really annoying without calculators, right? Okay? So if the tables help you, you can sort of see it on the tables more, feel free to use the tables, right? I think they're a good learning tool. In real life, are you going to use a table, or are you going to use a calculator or Excel, or at least a computer in some fashion? You're going to do it. You're going to do it with a computer, with a calculator, okay? So, but if you don't have a calculator that calculates present values and future values, big deal. Use the tables. Doesn't matter. What is the factor anyway? 8%, 10 periods. Those of you who did use the table. What's the factor? Is that going to be more or less than 1 if you put 1 over 1.08 and raise it to the 10th? Come on, it's less than 1. Also, the present value of something is worth less than the future value, isn't it? You're going to take interest out. We're just sucking interest out. What's the rate, guys? 46319. What's worth 46.3 cents? $1 discounted at 8% for 10 periods. If you invest 46 cents, 46.3 cents at 8% interest for 10 periods, it will grow to $1. But it's not $1 I'm going to get, it's 100,000 of it. So take the 100,000 times it, what do you get? Did everybody get that number? I'm wasting your time, right? I want to be wasting your time today, okay? And then we'll start not wasting your time, hopefully, okay? Everybody's good with this, right? It's just not a big deal, all right? So, let's see if I can pull this off. Probably not. No, I did it the wrong way. Here, I should do, let's do it. Here, I should do, I give up. Oh well, anyway, we'll just do it. What was the second one?
And that's 90,000 now.
Okay, that's what, a present value now?
Yeah. 8 years and 10% interest.
Okay, so what's it going to be? To get a future value, that's what we want to calculate, right? 8 years from now?
Yeah.
N is 8. PV is 90,000. So it's going to be 1 plus the interest rate, right? Raised to the number of periods. So what's that? What's the interest rate? What'd you say? 8 periods and 10%?
Yeah.
You can calculate it yourself if you want, of course, okay? Or you can look it up. This would be what? This is a, what kind of factor?
The second one was, what is it, that's the first problem, so.
No, I'm the second one.
Oh, yeah, see, I was looking at the.
90,000 present value, was it? 10% interest, 8 periods? I'm doing a future value of a sum, right? So this is a future value of a sum table. So if you look up the factor, 1.10 raised to the 8th, or you look up the factor, 10%, 8 periods, what is that factor? It's going to be more than $1, of course. It's growing, right?
It's 214359.
Would you agree at 10% for 8 periods, you'd more than double your money? Yes, that's real. The stock market earns between 6 and 8%, I think. Some people think it's 5 to 8, or 5 to 7. That's a big R. But on average, over time, it depends on what number of years you look at, makes that much more than the risk-free rate. So the risk premium you get on the stock market is 5, 6, 7, 8%, somewhere in there, over time. So what happens to your money if you invest? And it starts doubling up, doesn't it, over time, right? You know, every 10 years it's basically what it is, okay? You double your wealth if you're in the stock market. Really? I'm working another 6 years, and I think probably I'll almost double my wealth again. Well, more than that, because I'm also putting money in every year. 15% of my income goes in every year, too. Wow. Unless the bottom falls out in the market. By the way, are you guaranteed that return? Of course not, right? Stock market went down from what? What was it, about 15 or 16,000? And it went down to 6, right at the end of poor George Bush's term. It's awful to be in office and stuff like that happens. Now, Obama's a hero, right? Because where's the market now? Just broke 18,000. Wow, we're 3 times as wealthy as we were when he became president? I am. You guys aren't, you don't have any investments. Those of us who have investments have done really, really well. But having the minimum wage in the meantime. Oh, it stayed the same. And a whole bunch of people lost their jobs and ended up with minimum wage jobs that they used to make more money. Oh, they tell you on the news about how it's not so good for workers and it's really nice for investors? Yeah, sure. The recovery's been really good for investors. It's fantastic. For workers, not so hot. Who do you want to be? Worker or investor? Interesting. Take a whole bunch of the money that you make, instead of buying cars with it, houses with it, put it in the market. You can retire young if you want. So I can retire now, except my wife's young. She likes to not. So anyway, what is this number going to be if you have $2 for every dollar you invest in? 90,000 times 2.14359, how much is it?
$192,922.09.
Okay, everybody get that? There's nothing to it, right? I just don't understand why people miss these on the quizzes. I'm kidding. Somehow, figuring out what those cash flows are is really tough. Okay, what's the next one? What was 3?
Invest 200,000 now.
Okay, so the present value at time 0 is 200,000.
Receive 8 semi-annual payments at the end of the period.
Oh, so what is this? This is a ordinary annuity payment. And you can set this up in a variety of ways. The author does it one way, I do it another, it doesn't matter. How much is it?
Question before you go on, I'm sorry, but on the last one, I was entering in the same numbers, but I got 192,923.
Oh, that's okay. Did you use the calculator or the table?
It is 923.
Oh, it's 923? Did anybody really get 993 if they used a calculator? That seems like it's quite a ways off. Who used the calculator? What'd you get?
I got 923.
Oh, and then the table gave us 923 also?
Yes.
Oh, then nobody got 993 unless they did a little math there. Is that true? Or did I write down the wrong thing?
I think you wrote it down.
Oh, well, that could easily happen. Nobody corrected me. Yeah, okay. Somebody would have had to be listening. Okay, anyone? That's fine. 192,923. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, what was the ordinary annuity payment again?
It says you receive 8 semi-annual payments at the end of the period.
I don't know what they are, do I?
No.
I'm going to calculate. Okay. What's the interest rate?
6%. But really 3.
But really, it's 3. Why is it 3? It's semi-annual. Excellent. Okay. Do we have enough information now to make our calculation?
Our time periods are 8.
We need n equals 8. Okay, and it's 8 semi-annual periods. If I had told you it was 4 years, could you figure out it was 8 periods?
Yes.
So be careful with that. They tell you periods or they tell you number of years, right? Could be different. Okay, so it's 8. All right, so how would you set it up? Variety of ways you could go. I like to take the annuity payment, it's an ordinary annuity payment, times what? An ordinary annuity factor. Or you can put it in your calculator. And this, what the ordinary annuity factor is a whole bunch of factors added up, right? And I'm going to determine what it's worth in the present, right? I know I already know it, but I'm still going to set it up this way. I'd make this 200,000. Okay, so can I look up an ordinary annuity factor for interest rate 3% and 8 periods? Of course you can, okay? Or you can plug into your calculator that if the interest is 3%, the number of periods is 8, the payments are at the end of the period. You have to tell it it's at the end of the period or the beginning, right? That's that 0-1 thing, okay? And then you tell it the present value is 200, and it'll tell you what the annuity payment is, right? Some of you did it that way, okay? What is the factor if we look it up? It's a present value of an ordinary annuity factor, 3%, 8 periods. How much is that factor? What this is 8 factors added up, right? 3% for 1 period, 2 periods, 3 periods, up to 8 periods.
7.01969.
What's worth $7.02? What's worth that much? $8 is. $1 what? $1 received at the end of each period for 8 periods. That $8 cash flow stream is only worth $7.01 right now. Why? Because there's about $1 of interest, 99 cents of interest. Right? That's what's going on here, you guys. You could have discounted the first dollar for 1 period, the second dollar for 2, the third one for 3, up to the last one for 8, and add them all together if you feel like it. It's a waste of time. What they did instead for you is they added up those factors for 8 different periods, right? And got 1 factor. That's all they're doing, okay? So how would I get back to my payment? Take 200,000 and divide it by 7.01969. What do you get?
28491.29.
Okay, 28,491. Is that what it is? Now, it doesn't. We're not saying that. By the way, those of you who use a calculator, you get the same answer. Everybody right in the same boat. Okay. All right. Now here, what's the deal? We're not saying $28,491 becomes worth 200,000, right? No, no, no. How much is 8 times 28? 8 payments times the 28,491. What is that? Keep track of reality while you're working these things.
227,928.
928.
Yeah.
That's what's worth 200,000 right now, right? You were going to get $227,928, and it's only worth 200,000 right now. What's the difference? What's the 27,928? Of course, it's the interest of it. It's the interest you're going to earn. Everybody knows this, right? It's just common sense. Take this from being mathematical and you're computing it to I think this way.
But the answer that you're looking for is the 28,491.
Oh yeah, the 28,491 is what I want. Okay, if I asked you for how much interest there was, you could calculate that too, couldn't you? In dollars. I'll ask you stuff like that. Okay, make this so it's just common sense to you. First, get it mechanically, get it with your calculator, get it with the book, both, I think, right? Get it so it's just automatic. Then get so you just think this way. What is everything worth? If I get run, why would it happen to me? I hate that thought. It'd be better if it's you. If I get run over by a truck out here when I'm leaving, what's my wife going to collect? She gets all the life insurance, yes. She gets the annuity that we have for the investments we have. She gets the investments we have, right? She gets all my TIA crap, right? Which is all hers, of course. Okay, so, you know, she gets all that stuff. She gets a house, whatever. What else does she get?
What you worth today.
Everything I'm going to earn for the rest of my career, which is very easy to predict. We even know how long I'm going to work, right? At 70. It'll be 70 and a half. If my birthday's in December and school doesn't end until May, I probably won't leave in the middle of the year. That's mean to the school, right? You have to hire somebody in the middle of the year. So I'll probably go to 70 and a half to max my Social Security, right? Max hers, okay, for the rest of her life. Then what? She'll live longer than me. She's 10 years younger than me. She's a woman. She'll live 20 years after I'm gone, probabilistically, right? Okay, so I got to take care of her. So what's the deal? What? Anyway, what's the deal? What's she going to get? My salary discounted back to when I get run over. Right? It's extremely low risk, I think. Discount rate's going to be real low, isn't it? At least her attorney's going to think it's real low. Ah, got the idea? That's what she can sue for. How about the truck driver's attorney? Oh, I was going to die tomorrow, right? So there's no way he was going to make another $1 million over the course of his career, right? That's not going to happen. Okay? Much less should we just discount it at 2% or something, right? Okay? That's going to earn nothing, right? The discount rate would be astronomical. Okay. All right. So let's do another one. What's the next one?
Receive $10,000 each quarter for 3 years.
When do I receive it?
You didn't tell us.
I bet I did. When do you receive it? Well, I didn't say, did I? What'd you assume? Oh, this makes a difference, right? If we receive it at the end of each quarter, I should have told you, huh? If we receive it at the end of the quarter, I would assume in, unless somebody says so. I'd agree with you on that. If it's at the end, what is it? Ordinary annuity. If it's at the beginning, what is it? Annuity due. Makes a big difference, right, guys? Everybody's good with that. Okay, so what do we have? It's a ordinary annuity payment. How much is it? $10,000. Number of periods is for how many years?
3.
3. But it's
Yours
quarterly,
is
right?
Quarterly, yeah.
So what is it? 12. Everybody converted it to 12, right? Okay. Interest rate. What was the interest rate? What did I give you? 12%. What do you do with it? Quarterly, divide by 3. Everybody got it? Number of periods times 4, right? Interest rate divided by 4. It's a big deal. What if it's monthly? Take it times 12 for the periods. Divide the interest rate by 12. There's nothing to this, right? Read carefully, or you'll screw it up, huh? Okay? What else do we know? Anything? What do I want to know?
How much is it worth now?
Okay, what's it worth now? I want to know the present value at times 0. Do I have to worry about future value, by the way? No. You don't have to do anything with it, do you? Okay, so I would just set this one up. I always set my annuities up the same way. I guess I like to multiply instead of divide. I don't know. Just always kind of done them that way. I would suggest always doing it the same way. $10,000 times some factor, which is going to be what? An ordinary annuity. And what am I calculating? The present value, right? So it's a present value of an ordinary annuity factor. Interest rate, be careful, 3%, 12 periods. So you can look it up, or you could plug in your calculator, 3%, 12 periods. Payment at the end of each period is $10,000, right? And you want the present value, right? So you're calculating present value times 0. Okay, what's that factor? It's the same as the last problem, except instead of getting the payment, you're getting the present value.
9.95400.
9.
95400.
Okay, what's worth $9.95? $12 received $1 at the end of each period for 12 periods, all discounted at 3% per period, right? That's what you'd be willing to invest right now to get that. But it's not going to be $1 12 times. It's going to be 10,000 12 times. So what do you get? $99,540. Right? That's it. So that way everybody got it? You can do it, right? Okay. Now you might think, geez, this is easy. Anybody could do this stuff. No, they can't. Most of the world doesn't know what we're talking about. That's what makes this really valuable. You can extract wealth from people. I can convince a whole bunch of people to give me $100,000 for that. And I get to keep the difference. And I do it 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times. It's okay. They think they're happy. They don't know how much interest they make and how much interest I make. I get the spread. That's the whole banking industry, guys. That's what they do. Okay? Yeah. All right. Maybe it's the finance industry. I don't know. Is it theft? I don't think so. Not if people have all the information, right? They make their choice. One thing you can do is you can give people certainty. You get your money right now, and I'm at risk. I have to wait for my money. Of course, I extract all your wealth from you. If I can convince you to invest at 0.5% in a savings account, and I can invest in the stock market at 12% over time, what do I make? 12 less 0.5%. I get the 11.5. Like it? Banking's nice, huh? Don't put your money in a savings account. You're just giving your wealth. What's inflation average over time? About 2%. So, you're earning 0.5%, and inflation is 2%. How much do you lose every year? 1.5% of your wealth. Don't put any money in a savings account. Put it at risk. Does that mean you're going to lose your money because you put it at risk? No. Might you? Yes. But I think there's probably not as much chance of losing all your money in the stock market as there is of the banking system collapsing and everybody losing all their money because the economy collapses and you're totally bankrupt. It's about the same category. I'm an old man. How much of my investment do you think I have in safe investments? 0. Diversified across the stock market. I'm going to live probably another 30 years. My wife might live 50 years. Are we done with money? I'm going to retire soon, but I'm not going to quit spending money. So do I need my portfolio to keep growing? Yes. So what do I encourage for you? Take reasonable risks. Now, that's not the same thing as don't go to Vegas and put it all on a crap table, okay? That's just throwing your money away, right? They're going to win. Well, you could win. I mean, you could buy lottery tickets with everything you own, too. My wife buys lottery tickets, and I tell her, I've never bought one in my life because I don't believe in investing in negative net present value investments. What do I mean by that? Your expected return is less than your investment. It's crazy. You're giving your money away. You're giving your wealth away, right? I don't mind gambling, but I want to gamble in commodities markets and stuff. She won't let me do that because it's too risky. She'll buy lottery tickets. I think it's voluntary taxation. I think what we ought to do is have, which is fine, she's welcome to do it. She dreams about having millions. So it's fine. Just play her out of it. Also, it funds education stuff. It's okay. It's voluntary taxation. I think what we should do when we do our tax return is they should send us a lottery ticket for every dollar we give them. Some people would send them all their money. Nobody complained about taxes anymore, right? Because you have a chance of winning $1 million, so you know, if you send them $30,000, oh well, I got 30,000 lottery tickets. You like it? It's a good plan. I don't know where. If you ever become a politician, you should suggest that. Everybody gets lottery tickets. They send in more than they owe, most likely. Amazing phenomenon. Some people would say, had an ember the other day say that, well, people buy insurance, don't they? Yeah, that's a negative net present value investment too. Do you guys know that? Odds are you're going to lose when you invest in insurance. Why do we do it? Insurance companies make money. Are you guys aware of that? They collect premiums from us, and then they pay for the damages that we have, right? And they still make money. We're spreading the risk over a whole bunch of people. I buy insurance too. My house burns down, I don't want to have to replace it. On my car, I have a $1,000 deductible though. Why? On both cars. You know, it's probably only, actually on that car, I have no insurance. Take it back. Just liability. I have insurance by renting it. Liability. But on a Volvo, I think my wife still has a $1,000 deductible because it doesn't cost much. What's the deal? Why do we have a high one instead of a low? Because our insurance premiums are much less. And I can afford to pay the $1,000 if we have a damage to the car. Right? Okay? So why do you buy insurance? For catastrophic loss. So in your business, do you buy insurance? Absolutely. Your truck driver drives over somebody and they sue you for the retained earnings of the company, you better have some insurance, right? What does GE do? Do they buy insurance? No. Why not? They self-insure. And Humana and people like that. Because they're big, young, right? They can spread the risk across their business. It's okay. Each individual loss isn't going to do them in. Okay, what's the next one? What is it, 1 month?
$15,000 at the end of each year.
Okay, so what is this? This is another ordinary annuity? Let's do the beginning one, because you guys don't want to leave. Let's do the annuity due one, the last one. Annuity due. Payment. How much is that? How much was it? 15,000. So this would be at the beginning of each period, right? And then what do we need? Number of periods, interest rate.
4 years and 12%.
Okay, and they're full years, right? So we don't have to split anything up. Okay, and what do we want to know? Present value or future value? Okay, I want the future value. Could I calculate the present value of this thing too? Sure. Just use a present value factor instead of a future value factor, right? Be easy. Okay? So I've got my 15,000 times a factor, 4 periods, 12%. What kind of a factor? Annuity due factor. Is there going to be more or less interest if the payment's at the beginning? You leave the money in longer. More interest. So I would expect an annuity due factor to be bigger than a ordinary annuity factor, right? Everybody agree with that? If I'm calculating a future value. Present value would be the reverse of that. So to get your head around that one too. Okay, so I'm calculating this future value over here, and not at time 0, at time 4. Okay? So what's that factor if you look it up? 4 periods, 12%. What'd you get?
Present value of annuity due?
Didn't we want a future value, or did I want a present value? What I asked?
It will be at the end of 4 years. So
Yeah, this is a future value. Future value of an annuity due. Do we have a table that does that? Oh, that might be difficult then. What would you do? Yeah. Tell me what the future value of an ordinary annuity is. What's that factor? Ordinary annuity factor. For 4 periods, 12%. What's that factor? That's one less period interest, right?
4.77933.
77923.
33.
Okay, now that's missing 1 period's interest. Does everybody agree? Because this is if you put the payments in at the end of each period, and now we're going to move to the beginning of each period. So each payment should have 1 more interest, right? 1 more year's interest on it. Take it times 1 plus the interest rate, 1.12, and you will get the other factor. Isn't that cool? Or if you needed to go the other direction, you can divide by 1.12, 1 plus the interest rate. Either way, you can create one table from the other. How much is that factor? This is going to be a annuity due factor. Ah. And I'll show you another way to do it too. How much is that going to be? 4.773933 times 1.12.
5.352816.
5322816. So take 5.532 816, right? 553 times the 15,000. What'd you get for the answer? If you plug it in your calculator and you tell it the payments at the beginning and the end, you got it. How much is that?
80,299.
That's not what I got as a number.
80,000 what?
That's not the
I
right
got like
number.
82,000.
Oh, that 553 is not right?
No.
4.77933 times 1.12, what'd you get?
5.3528496.
3528496?
Yes.
Okay, now take that times, here we go, 5.3,
It's 80292.
80,
292.74.
sound good? One other way you could go. You can go to the table for the ordinary annuity and go down 1 period, right? Which adds a payment, but it also adds interest for 1 payment, and then subtract 1 from it, which gets rid of the first payment. And guess what? You'll get that factor 5.3528496. If you got a fancy calculator, it'll do it for you anyway, right? Just make sure you know what it's doing, or I get to make fun of you when I hand your quizzes and tests back. Right, guys? Yep. Sure you know what it's doing.